Hi, and welcome to Tech Talk here at kinsprosound.com. We're going to talk about a couple of my favorite direct boxes, one in particular, and what we're going to be talking about is what can we use direct boxes for. In some previous videos, we talked about some of the standard direct boxes, for example, taking an instrument on stage, getting it into the balance line, microphone jack, and getting it back to your mixer console, which is really a common thing to do. Guitars, keyboards, rhythm machines, things of that nature. And often what we'll do is I get requests for people say, how do I get my laptop audio into it? And well, this is a device here, has a built-in transformer, has a ground lift switch, a volume control, and it'll take you from your 1/8" mini jack on the side of your laptop or your MP3 player or anything with an 1/8" stereo jack, and it will convert it to a balance line output to go into a microphone jack. So this is a real handy device to use and nice to have around, and there's different versions of these, and if you're interested in doing that, you can contact us, and we have several options for that. Now, another thing I really like to do is this particular direct box is kind of one of my favorites, and the reason it is it happens to be a Rolls, and it's the DB225, and it's got your 2 1/4" inputs on this side, and it's got your attenuation 0, 20 dB, and 40 dB, and we turn it around and look what it's got right here. It has 2 microphone connections, or 2 XLR connections to be more appropriate. So they're 3-pin balance line audio. There's an input and an output, and there's both available for different applications. So what we're going to talk to you a little about today is we're going to take a look at these three direct boxes, what the differences are between them, and how we can use them to connect to your video camera. Because I know a lot of you out there are just getting into the audio video thing, whether you're doing a YouTube, you're some kind of podcast or video cast, and you're using your camera to record things, and there's a microphone jack that's right on the inside of this camera. And I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I get my audio into my simple camera? And this is just a simple Canon camera. You know, I picked it up at Best Buy. Really nothing special about it. So you point and shoot this thing, and you get pretty good audio. But you want better audio. You want to bring in your mixing console. You want to have multiple microphones. Or you want to buy a large diaphragm microphone like this, and you want to get it into your camera. There's a couple of ways to do it. Well, a very simple way to do it is you can use a mixing console similar to this. Now, this happens to be a Mackie VLZ 1202 console, and it's got your basic inputs on top, just like most of the Mackie boards do, and it's got a couple of outputs on the back. So these are your, let me get my finger in the right spot. These are your balance line outputs, and that's what we're going to be referring to most of the time. If your mixer does not have the 3-pin balance line outputs, you still can use the left-right output on top of it, and most of the time those are tip ring sleeve, commonly known as balance line outputs. So what I like about this is I can take my microphone, music audio, a second microphone, I can plug them into here, and I can mix it just like I normally would. And then what we like to do is I like to take the output of my mixer, which is line level, and I just plug it in like I normally would to a powered speaker or an amplifier. And now I've got the other end of it, and I'm just using a short cable here for this demonstration. So this connector has the audio output off of my mixer. Now what I want to do is I want to get it into my camera. How do I get this into my camera without overdriving my camera, generating noise and distortion? Well, this guy right here has been a really great source to help do that. And the reason is because of the dual connections on the balance line side. I'm going to take this output and I'm going to plug it in to the DI box or the direct box. Now I've taken my balance line audio And you can see on the picture on the front, it goes through the transformer, which isolates it, and it goes into the 1/4-inch jacks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and grab this inexpensive. This is an 1/8-inch stereo to RCA right-left. Because keeping in mind that your camera, for the most of these cameras have a mic jack on them, and it's a right-left input. So you can get, some of them do stereo, some of them do mono. I don't know what you have, but if you use this jack and you set on your software inside your camera, or your choices on your menu, it would be more appropriate towards mic input, and you plug it in, and now I've got my 1/8-inch cable going into my camera. So the next step would be is I'm going to take these two lines and I'm going to plug them in, and notice I'm using the RCA connector to the 1/4-inch adapter. In this particular situation, you can purchase an 1/8-inch stereo cable that plugs into your camera and goes directly to 1/4-inch, but I like having the adapters because you never know what you're going to run into. So now my audio comes out of my mixer to the balance line out. The audio goes in to the direct box through the balance line side of the transformer. It's converted to unbalanced, and I have two parallel outputs that feed my audio signal equally into the right-left audio on the camera. In addition to that, if we look right here, see if we can see that, this particular box has an attenuation switch, which I alluded to earlier. What I normally do is I set it at minus 20 or minus 40, depending on what your camera settings require. That attenuates the output of this device down to a level that goes from this side to this side that your camera over here can handle. So now I can take the output of my mixer with multiple inputs, 1 microphone, 2 microphone, 3 microphone, have my tone controls and whatever else I need. I can have headphone monitors come off of it. It's whatever you dream up. Then the output, the master output, comes out the balance line output, and it goes into the direct box. The direct box uses its internal transformer and matching network to come out on the unbalanced high impedance side, and use the attenuator to bring the level down so that it does not overdrive your camera. And that's a very cost-effective way of getting it directly into your camera. Now, I know that there's some of you folks out there that are interested in, why don't you just use a USB output off your the USB output off your mixer, which you can. You can use a USB output off your mixer, go directly into your computer and use it that way. But often there's cases where people are using their camera and they're just recording directly to the camera, and they just want to get decent audio, and they want to pull the memory chip out and take it back home and edit it and have decent audio. That's a way to do it. Now, for those of you who don't have this particular direct box laying around, that's okay. If you don't have it, there's other ways to do it. So we're going to put this direct box off to the side, because the standard direct box, it's a simple direct box that doesn't have the attenuator on it. It doesn't have the right output. You'll notice that, oh gee, now it doesn't fit. Well, you can use a turnaround and reverse the connection, and you plug it in. And then you can take and you can plug this in. Now I have the connections, I have my isolation. I've also got my ground lift in case I need it, but I do not have on this particular box the attenuation control. So I'd have to rely on using the attenuation provided by my mixing console. And sometimes that works okay and sometimes it doesn't. But that's another way of getting your audio in. Now, there's a lot of direct boxes out there, and I just grabbed one out of our just kick around stock in our rental stock. Here's one. Here's still got the 2 1/4-inch jacks. It also only has 1 balance line connector, and it happens to be the male connector, which in most circumstances would be backwards. So we have to use the turnaround. If we do that, Now we've made the connection and we've gone from our balanced output from our mixer to the unbalanced mono outputs to the camera. And in addition to that, this particular box has a ground lift right here and a 3-position attenuator. So this one can get you the 0, 20, and 40 dB as well. And there's a lot of direct boxes out there that do that, and we carry several different models that are capable of doing so. So occasionally we'll get somebody say, well, we don't have our little mixer that we bought that we're using here at in our location doesn't have the 3-pin balance line output. And that's okay too, because most of these things have a 1/4-inch tip ring sleeve balance line output. So you can get an adapter cable. In this case, you can get an adapter cable that's got your tip ring sleeve, which is your balance line, and it's going to a female XLR type connector or 3-pin professional audio. I can come right over here and go, and I've just plugged it into the tip ring sleeve connector on my mixer, which most of these small mixers have these days. And I bought the proper cable, and it will plug directly into a standard direct box. So you don't need the turnaround. So here again, you can take a standard mixer that doesn't have the balance line connectors on the back, but has 1/4-inch connectors on the top. Use a 1/4-inch tip ring sleeve adapter, plug it directly in to a standard direct box, set your attenuation control where you need it. You have a ground lift switch in case you need to get rid of a buzz, and then the output cables run right over and plug into the mic input on your camera. Now, keeping in mind that this is a good way to get basic audio into a basic camera setup, you will have to do a little bit of experimentation to get the audio levels correct. Most likely you'll have to get it set up, turn it on, and do a test video or put it in pause and look in the viewfinder or look at the little display window that folds out onto the side. It's your audio going in, and make sure that you're not overdriving it. An advantage to using the mixer with the direct box that has the attenuation, it typically increases your signal over the noise. So you got lots of signal coming out of here. You attenuate it down to a modest level so your camera can handle it, and you get a nice clean audio signal into your camera, and it gives you an opportunity to get decent audio into a very simple camera. And the mixer choice is wide open. You can use a very cost-effective mixer for as low as $49, and you can use a high-end mixer, something that you might find at a church or a worship center or out on a concert tour or something, where you grab that professional output, run it into your direct box, set the attenuation level, and boom, you've got yourself an audio input for your camera. So with that, I think we're going to call this one good. If you got any questions about this using the direct box for this application, give us a call at kinsprosound.com or drop us an email. We'll be absolutely happy to answer those questions. Hope you enjoyed this little bit overview of how to get your basic mixer hooked in to your microphone jack on your basic camcorder and get really decent audio. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.